A war is happening like thousands of kilometers away, and suddenly a petrol is expensive, the grocery feels heavier, and the salary doesn't grow the way you wanted. Sounds unrelated, right? Like completely two different worlds. But the truth is, every time a global conflict breaks out, whether it's Russia-Ukraine war or the recent Middle Eastern war, it quietly triggers a chain reaction that reaches Indian economy and your pocket as well. And there's a scary part is most people don't even realize it's happening. In this video, we'll break everything like how global wars are quietly affecting Indian economy. So let's get started. Now, before we jump into impact, there's one more important thing to understand that modern economies like India don't function in isolation anymore. We are deeply connected through global systems via trade, energy, supply chains, or even financial markets. So, when a war breaks out anywhere in the world, it doesn't stay limited to geography. It creates a ripple effect across multiple layers of global economy. Now just think about what a war actually disrupts. It affects production, transportation, trade routes, investor confidence, and even currencies. For example, during Russia-Ukraine war, global supply chains were hit, commodity prices surged, and financial markets became volatile. According to World Bank, global commodity prices also saw one of their sharpest increase in decades during this period. Now, as I mentioned about the global economy prices, just thought of quick going through this website. This is S&P GSCI Commodity Index, which stands for Goldman Sachs Commodity Index, which actually serves a major role in global economy. Now, if you look at the trend over decades from 2022 to 26, so if you want to move towards 10-year, it's actually a paid subscription which you have to take. So basically, this trend actually gives you a representation of one of the most violent prices shocks in a modern history over here. According to World Bank, we recently witnessed a sharpest commodity price index increase in decades, and this actually captures that perfectly. After bottoming out during 2020 lockdowns, basically the COVID era, the GSCA entered pretty much a parabolic surge that skyrocketed over 100% starting December 25. If you see over here, in December 2025 it started. Now this wasn't just a small change, it was a perfect storm where everything from literally energy to food became more expensive at the same time. While the index has moved up and down since then, it remains pretty much a higher level than we saw before our pandemic era, signaling a permanent shift in cost of global resources. Now, where does India come into all of this picture? India is one of the fastest growing major economies, but it's also heavily dependent on imports for key resources like especially energy, electronics, Indian industrial raw materials. According to Ministry of Commerce and Industry, India's total imports are worth hundreds of billions of dollars every year, making us highly sensitive to global price change. Now, as we just discussed about exports India does, so here we can check the volume of Indian exports in particular year. So I am at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry website by Government of India. Here I'm selecting 2425 all commodity level. I'll select 2-digit level. So these are basically commodity classifications we can choose from. No specific HS code number we have to select right now, and values will be in USD million dollars. So let's click on submit over here. Now here you can see couple of commodities across sectors, like for example live animals, edible vegetables, edible fruits, which are exported from India. So let's say for example, let's consider coffee, tea, meat, and spices. You can see in 24, India exported almost 4,738 US million dollar exports, and percent growth is 13.21. Now you can just check and explore a couple of exports India does on year-to-year basis. But if you scroll down over here, we can see India's total export is almost more than 437 US million dollars, which is huge. Now this means when global prices rise or supply chain get disrupted, India ends up paying more, either directly through high import costs or indirectly through inflation. And within all of these channels, one of the most critical and immediate impact point is energy, especially oil. India ends up importing roughly around 85 to 90% of crude oil requirements, making it extremely vulnerable to global price shocks. According to Petroleum Planning and Analysis Cell, even small changes in global economy or global crude prices can significantly impact India's import bill and domestic fuel prices. Now that you understand how global wars trigger the chain reaction, let's break down how actually it impacts India step by step. Now, first and biggest impact is oil. Because if there's one thing war disrupts almost immediately, it's energy supply. India is extremely dependent on global oil markets, importing around 80 to 85% of its crude oil needs. This means the fuel you use every single day, petrol, diesel, kerosene, LPG, is largely coming from outside the country. Now, when a war breaks out, especially in key oil producing regions or critical transit routes like the Strait of Hormuz, global supply gets disrupted. This creates uncertainty, reduces availability, and pushes oil price almost instantly. For example, during Russia-Ukraine war, crude oil price surged past $120 per barrel. Reports from agencies like Reuters have also highlighted how geopolitical tensions directly impact global oil shipments and pricing. And this is where it directly hits India. Even global crude price rise, India has to pay more for it. In dollars, of course, for the same oil we are paying for. Even a small increase has a massive effect. According to reports covered by Financial Express, even $1 increase in crude oil prices can add roughly around 10,000 to 12,000 crore to India's import bill. So when a price jump by almost 20 to $30 during conflicts, the impact becomes huge. Now that increase doesn't stay at a policy level. It shows up in your daily life. Petrol and diesel price rise, LPG cylinders become more expensive and transportation costs increase across the board. And because oil is the backbone of logistics and movement in this economy, this cost slowly spreads everywhere. Even if war is not ours, we still end up paying more for it every single time we refill our petrol. Now this is where it gets serious. When fuel price rise, transportation costs go up, and since almost everything we use needs to be transported, the cost gets passed on you. Vegetables, milk, groceries, even daily essentials start becoming more expensive. This chain reaction is what we call as inflation. And inflation doesn't just stop at fuel or food, it quietly spreads across your entire lifestyle, from high cab fares to delivery charges to increased cost of everyday services. According to data from Reserve Bank of India, RBI, and Ministry of Statistics and Programme Implementation, fuel and transportation are key drivers of inflation in India, especially during periods of global uncertainty. A war doesn't just increase one cost, it increases cost everywhere, silently affecting your daily life and your pockets. Now, when oil prices go up, the impact is not just limited to fuel, it starts affecting Indian currency as well. Since oil is traded globally in dollars, India has to pay in US dollars, of course, to import crude. Now, if oil becomes more expensive, India needs more dollars to buy the same quantity of oil. This increases the demand of dollars in a market. And now, just like any other market, when demand for something increases, the value goes up. So, if demand of the dollar rises, the Indian rupee starts weakening in comparison. Over the years, we have already seen this shift from around 74 rupees per dollar to around 84 rupees per dollar range when I'm recording this. Now here's why it matters to you. A weaker rupee makes all imports more expensive, not just oil. That includes electronics, mobile phones, even the iPhone which you use, laptops, machinery, and even raw materials used by companies. So business end up paying more to operate, and those costs are eventually passed on to customers. According to data and commentary from RBI, which is Reserve Bank of India, currency depreciation during global uncertainty is a key factor that adds to imported inflation in India. And that's the hidden layer most people miss. We just don't pay more because oil is becoming expensive. We pay even more because our currency weakens at the same point of time. Now, to control the damage, the government often steps in by cutting fuel taxes, offering subsidies, or increasing spending to reduce the burden on consumers when prices rise sharply. But now, this relief comes at a cost. Lower taxes means reduced revenue, and higher subsidies means increased government spending, both of which widen the fiscal deficit. Now, according to data and research by Ministry of Finance, managing this balance becomes especially challenging during periods of global volatility. Now, while government absorbs some of the pain in a short term, in a long run, the pressure shifts back to economy through higher debt, reduced spending flexibility, or future tax adjustments. Now, when costs rise up across the economy, companies feel the pressure almost immediately. Their expenses go up, whether it's fuel, logistics, raw material, or operations, and as a result, profits start shrinking. Now, what do companies usually do? They become cautious. Hiring slows down, increments get delayed or reduced, and in some cases, companies even cut costs through layoffs or restructuring. In fact, I've already covered the details in one of the previous videos where I've explained how layoffs today are not just about AI or artificial intelligence, but largely driven due to global economics conditions like these. So I've attached a link of this video in top right corner of your screen, so please do check out and give your insights. Now, to quick conclude this video, wars just don't affect borders, they affect economies, and eventually they affect you. Your fuel becomes more expensive, grocery bills go up, saving feels tighter, and even your income growth can slow down. And the reality is, this doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, step by step, through a chain reaction most people don't even notice. So, next time you hear about war happening far, far away, don't think of it as a distant news, because in today's world, it's not that far from your life. Hope you found this video really helpful. Do share your thoughts in the comment section, and what other ways do you think global war impacts our life? If you like this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. See you in next video.